So right now it is Monday morning and I'm going to be marinating all of the tofus right now so they can set in the fridge and kind of soak up all of that flavor while they're in there. I have 3 containers. So we're going to start by making the marinade in the containers. For the miso and sesame tofu, we obviously need some miso paste. I'm using about a teaspoon here, some sesame seeds, a tablespoon of sesame oil, and a tablespoon of soy sauce. Lastly, some black pepper. Okay, let's mix it up. Obviously, you can cut your tofu however you would like. I personally like this recipe with crumbled tofu. So you're just going to take your block of tofu and then just kind of crumble it like this with your hands. I'm doing quite big pieces here, and this creates a really nice surface for all of that marinade to stick to. Also, I didn't press the tofu or anything. You can do that if you would like, but realistically I'm not doing that anyways. So my tofu is all crumbled in there now. I'm just gonna add the lid and then kind of shake it up like this to make sure all of the tofu pieces are coated. And once that's the case, I can put this to the side and move on to the other 2 recipes. So to make the hoisin tofu, I'm going to start with about a tablespoon of tomato paste, a tablespoon of hoisin sauce and soy sauce, a tablespoon of sesame oil and pepper. Okay, let's mix this up once again. Since I'm going to be serving this in some bread, I'm going to slice the tofu into slices. So I've made 4 thin slices, which I'm just going to add into the marinade and then kind of just coat them. And once again, put the lid on and shake it quite gently because otherwise the tofu slices would fall apart a bit. So I'm just making sure that everything is covered, but I'm not too aggressive with this one. For the last recipe, we're once again starting with some soy sauce, a tablespoon of rice vinegar, some sesame seeds, minced garlic, the white part of a scallion, some grated ginger, and some black pepper. For this recipe I'm going with the most basic shape of them all, just some simple cubes. So these 3 boxes are gonna go in the fridge right now. These will probably last in there for about 3 to 4 days, which is honestly what I love about prepping tofu, because you can just keep it in the fridge and then just use it whenever you need a quick protein. And then I'll see you once it's time to make the first recipe. The miso and sesame tofu I'm going to be serving on some pasta. However, some sort of rice noodles or soba noodles would probably work better. I don't have any on hand right now, so I'm going to be using pasta. And then I'll also be adding some cabbage into the cooking water about a minute before the pasta is done so it can defrost, because I've got some in the freezer. But you can also use bell pepper or carrot ribbons or cucumber, but maybe don't add the cucumber into the cooking water. So the miso tofu I'm going to be baking in the oven because I find it gets nice and crispy when you bake it at a high temperature. So this is going in the oven at 220 Celsius for about 20 minutes. And as mentioned, while the tofu bakes, I'm going to cook up some pasta and add the cabbage for the last minute or so. For the sauce, I like to use tahini because I'm just obsessed with tahini at the moment, but you can also use peanut sauce or almond butter sauce, whatever you would like. And then we'll do a few garnishes, of course some fresh parsley, just for a bit of color, and a few cracks of black pepper. Today we're using the ginger and scallion garlic tofu. So this one I'm going to be frying in a pan. You could also bake it, but I prefer it fried. And if you're going to bake it, I recommend adding some oil to the marinade as well. In my opinion, this is best with some cooked rice, so that's what I'm doing today. I've just cooked up some plain basmati rice. And I'm going to add the crispy tofu. Including all of the scallions and garlic, because that is where the flavor is. You can definitely add some sort of vegetable here, like cucumber or bell pepper. I'm just going to keep it very simple today, and I'm just going to top it with the scallion greens. And that is it. This was so simple. I have saved the best for last, in my opinion, which is going to be the hoisin tofu. This one I'm going to be baking in the oven once again. So this is going to go into the oven at 200 Celsius for about 20 to 25 minutes. Have you ever seen anything more beautiful than a sourdough baguette? I don't think so. Mayo on both sides. So my tofu is done, and what I'm just gonna do, I have some leftover marinade in the container. I'm just gonna add the tofu pieces back in there, and I'm just gonna coat these again in the leftover sauce, just to make sure that they're nice and juicy, and also just to use up the sauce because wouldn't want to waste it. I'm just gonna add the tofu. Oops. For some freshness, I'm going to add some cucumber, a bit of red onion, some lettuce, and sprouts. Okay, let's try to close this without everything falling out. Do I wrap it up? No. It's definitely a little messy, but I mean, it's just so worth it. All of this mess.